Hey guys, so for this particular video, it's going to be pretty interesting where I basically want to just test out if Hyacine is really a necessity if you're going to be using Cyrene for these different team comps. So I think one of the biggest concerns that players is having is going to be you have to have Hyacine to actually run with Cyrene in the first place because of the recollection stack generation from Hyacine itself as well as Little Ica. So I'm going to narrow this down to 3 main teams where you could potentially use a DHPT instead of Hyacine, and that is going to be Anaxa, that's going to be Phainon, as well as going to be Aglaea. So I think one of the biggest misconceptions I think I want to just clear up first is that every single team for Cyrene you have to run Hyacine, but it's not really so much the case because if you take it from like a broader perspective, there really is only 6 main DPS crosshairs in the entirety of version 3. You have Phainon, you have Maide, you have Cyrene, you have Aglaea, you have Anaxa, and I guess you can call yourself Hyacine, which is going to be DOT, and that's pretty much it, right? So out of all of these 6 main DPS crosshairs, half of them just really want Hyacine to begin with, even before Cyrene came into the picture. So for example, your Cyrene, Maide, as well as your main DPS Avonite. So in this case, your teams with Cyrene as well as Maide, these two would definitely really want Hyacine because they really want a healing abundance HP sustain to begin with, and they don't really care about DHPT. So whether or not we're going to be having Cyrene, it doesn't change anything. So the one in question really just basically boils down to Anaxa and Aglaea, because Phainon always wanted DHPT, and whether or not you give him Hyacine is not going to change anything. So Phainon was going to be in a separate case with Cyrene itself, which are also going to be showcasing with the actual performances for this current map of Chaos 12. So the really only 2 teams that are going to be discussed is pretty much just Anaxa as well as Aglaea, because they already did not care about Hyacine to begin with. So I'm only going to be focusing on teams that don't care for Hyacine, and should players pull Cyrene plus Hyacine for this specific team, mainly pretty much going to be attack scaling crosshairs, in this case Anaxa and Aglaea. I guess you could make the argument for Hyacine, but Hyacine, like I mentioned in my very early access guide for Cyrene, she doesn't really care about Cyrene in the first place. We can still run your classic DOT team with Kafka rework to still get a exceptional performance, right? So without the way, so the way we're going to be structuring this is I'm pretty much just going to run them in the upcoming MOC12, and that's going to be Sam himself, which also does have the built-in anti-heal, which is going to be, you know, really important because you don't want to pull for Hyacine for Cyrene if you're going to find out that, wait, healing is not even going to be good in this kind of environments anyways. So I'm going to be testing out Aglaea as well as Anaxa with DHPT as a sustain instead of Cyrene. And then for the testing, you're going to be signing where we're going to be running Hyacine. It's going to be from this previously. So you can take a look from our E1 tribute SS testing where I basically ran it with the exact same team. Everything's the exact same. You can take the gears. It's the exact same E0 as well for everyone else. And then for Cyrene, it's going to be at the E0 as well. When DHPT is going to be this. Alright, everything is the same, and like I mentioned, the relic quality is really not that crazy for this particular build, so don't worry about it too much. I'm not going to stall anymore. Let's just jump straight in. Okay. The start is going to be very straightforward. I don't think it's ever going to be possible for us to get a 0 cycle. But even when we're going to be using Hyacine, we could not get a 0 cycle on Anaxa. So I'm just going to be going for a very chill kind of play when they eventually happen. And I wouldn't worry about getting that 0 cycle on wave 1. Okay, we can get this in. Getting our ultimates with our Savidra, just in case the guy hits us, right? A little bit more energy. Okay, now we can go in for our skill. It's not gonna be a double bounce at first. That's fine. It's gonna start charging. That's fine. We are always gonna be using DHPT with a basic attack because we do need a lot of skill points in this team. Goes for the AoE. Spams the Savidra skill over here. Now we can actually pop off right now. Okay. He will pull up, summons this. Honestly, if you wanted to, you could wait for the little bit more extra when he summons the bug thing in front of Venus, but it's not that big of a difference. You kind of have to use your basic over here because I want to cast my skill with Cyrene, so that's going to be that. Go for the basic. Okay. Unfortunately, not quite enough to get our ultimate here, so it is what it is. We're 1 stack away. So we're just going to be going for the wave 2 clear. I'll wait for Cyrene's ultimate after everybody gets their own ultimate, just for the maximum value. Okay, DHPT is going to go here. So first we activate this, activate this, activate this, activate this, activate this. Right, so we're going to bet all of our ultimates at the same time. And then we are going to be aiming for the 1 cycle dispatch on the first wave. So DHPT goes. Get Cyrene's ultimate. So the buffing priority for this is very straightforward. You basically just buff Savidra once because you want to reduce the charge from 6 to 5. and then you want to buff Anaxa. So we always buff Cyrene once. Then after that, you're gonna pull up your Anaxa right here, so you can bring him all the way up. If ideally could wait for 40 action value, because this should be 70, but don't worry about it, we can just bring up right now. Gets off our ultimate. She's gonna cause a bit of AoE. Okay, the bugs are gonna be doing the bug things, which doesn't really matter too much. We can go in for as much of these AoE as possible. I really the horse is gonna spawn again. Okay, didn't spawn, that's fine. Then after this AoE, we can let go of our Anaxa. Okay. Okay. We're gonna be going for the Quadra skill here. So the bugs are gonna be pretty annoying, but they definitely die from this very first. Yep, they definitely die from this. It's fine. A bit unfortunate that the bug over there didn't die, so that's gonna be a double. We're definitely gonna be able to clear here at this action, so I try to want to stall as much as I can. I want to stall a little bit. Okay, building up our stacks. Okay. That's fine. We'll save this for a little bit. He's gonna action value advance. I believe this is where he starts charging. Okay, before he summons them, we're gonna end off right here. Sorry, so we go for one more basic attack. And then this, I want to save it for the next wave. So we're just gonna do this. Then this ultimate should be able to transfer to Sam. Okay, very, very nice. Ooh, I should have pressed my Cyrene ultimate immediately. Before the wave started, though that was my bad. So at this point, we kind of just have to wait a little bit here, because it's 22 AV, so we just wait. Because we can store this up to 27 stacks anyways. So it's not going to be that big of a value loss here. Here's the skill. Here's the ultimate. And we'll just wait a little bit more. Yep, that's fine. So this is going to come back down. DHPT is going to go for the basic. So the moment Anaxa goes for this, we're going to action value advance with this. Okay. So it's always going to be 70, right? It's always going to be 70 here, right? This is going to be 70, so you want to pull him up exactly 70 to play her exactly like how you would play something. Okay, so we're going to be getting that right now. Cast our ultimate. And then going for yet another skill. Then now we're just going to chill. Right now we're just going to chill. He's going to implant his thingy. Don't cast his ultimate because it's going to be a bit of a waste. Apply our skill every single time. He activates this mode. It's all good. Then we're gonna base with DHPT. Then once Anaxa goes, we're gonna pull up Anaxa immediately. Yeah? Okay, that's gonna be the Quadra. Okay, pulls up our Anaxa. And then we can get off the Anaxa ultimate here as well. Okay. Then we're gonna be able to get the break immediately over here. Which is very, very good. We can just let go of our ultimate. Because we can get a little bit more energy. Okay. So we're gonna get a little bit more energy from this. That's good, that's good. So now Cyrene is gonna go in over here. Cyrene, you can honestly just cast your ultimate at this point. So we are already clearing at 39% HP left. Gets us a 6 out of 6. Reapply our buffs. Cyrene goes back in for the skill. DHPT always does basic. Don't have to worry about it. I mean, you could cast skill here, but it's not that big of a difference. Because we should be able to get our ultimate before the dragon goes away. So this is gonna do the same thing again. So once Anaxa pulls up, we're gonna bring him back out with Cyrene. So this comes here. Then we ultimate with Anaxa. And then if we cannot get our clear in this particular action, then it's gonna go on to the third action. So this comes. 27% left. Goes in for the Quadra skill, I believe. Oh, we couldn't get it right here. Alright, it is what it is. Don't think we're gonna be able to get our last ultimate, so it is not gonna be a 2-cycle clear. So we kind of have to wait a little bit. We can go for... Okay, at this point we can just go for the skill, because we have quite a bit of skill point left. Since Sam is gonna be giving us the combustion a little bit. Okay. Alright, so this is gonna be combustion. Comes back down. AoE goes in. Unfortunately, we don't have our 12 stacks at this point, but it doesn't really matter anymore because I'm pretty sure Sam dies here. Almost dies here. Come on. Does he die here? Should be, right? 2%. Might be a 1% angle. Might be... Okay. Okay, nah, okay. Yeah, it doesn't really matter because at this point, Dragon goes in. 1%. Gets off the last hit. pulls up Anaxa at 63 AV, and that is gonna be getting us the Anaxa, Cervedra, DHPT, Creator Cyrene, coming to a grand total of essentially 3 cycles, and that is gonna be the exact same as the number of cycles I took for me when I was using Hyacine right here. Okay, so this is the run that I basically did for my Anaxa Cyrene testing when I was doing with the E1 Trippy. So it's the exact same footage. I'm not going to be showing the whole thing because the whole footage was previously already displayed for the E1 Trippy. I just want to kind of point out some key pointers where we're going to be playing this. So the most important thing to know is that even though we're going to be running Hyacine with Cyrene over here, you can see that Hyacine is going to be giving us action, right? That's going to be very good. We do get ourselves the 24 stacks of the Cyrene's ultimate and a rag action here, right? Because we are going to be running Hyacine, which gives us the additional stack. So the key difference of running DHPT and Hyacine is that with Hyacine, you are definitely going to be guaranteed at least 24 stacks to get our ultimate off in the very first wave, right? So at this point, once we cast our skill, we'll get our ultimate, refresh our Anaxa ultimate, and at this point, Cyrene is going to cast our ultimate here, which will refresh everyone's ultimate. So that's the point where I would say a lot of players will have a misconception where you really want to get Cyrene's ultimate in wave 1, because you can see it from our previous gameplay. So you can see that even though we were able to get our ultimate only by the second wave, so at this particular point we couldn't get our ultimate because it was at 1 stack away at 23 stacks. It doesn't matter because it wouldn't concern us whether or not we get a 0 cycle in this very first action, right? So you can see everybody of the mobs over here, they are pretty much almost at full HP. So once I get my Cyrene ultimate, I refresh everyone out. First things first, my Hyacine and Cyrene's ultimate, they were not fully utilized because they were almost, this was almost at full energy, and then this was at around like 30% energy. So there was a little bit of wastage over here, which I can wait for the next turn, right? So that's going to be that. And then at this point, because I'm trying to go for the 0 cycle, you can see that if your damage is insufficient to get 0 cycle, regardless if you have Cyrene or don't have Cyrene's ultimate, what's gonna happen is that eventually you're still able to get that 1 cycle clear at the end of the day, right? With DHPT, without DHPT, you are still gonna be getting that 1 cycle clear with or without the addition of Hyacine, right? So at this point, even though we're gonna be getting Cyrene's ultimate, we're getting all of the buffs, getting all of the additional skill prop bounces, you're gonna be seeing that with all of our efforts, right? We're gonna be casting off one more of this skill after we let go of Hyacine's out, right? So Ika is gonna kill the mobs. Anaxa is gonna go deal with his double skill. So this one's gonna go, and he's gonna push up. Doesn't matter. So when we are gonna be doing our double skill here, first of all, it's not 6 out of 6, so we can't get the quadra bounce. You can see that the enemies are nowhere near enough to getting that 0 cycle anyways, with or without Cyrene's ultimate. So the biggest issue that players probably have is that you must have Hyacine to get Cyrene. Yes, you want Hyacine to get Cyrene if you want to get Cyrene's ultimate in the first wave and you can get your 0 cycle. If you do not care about the 0 cycle, you can see that it literally changes nothing, because even if we get our ultimate in the next wave, we're still going to be clearing extremely comfortably by the cycle 28, and then we are going to go into Sam with the exact same number of cycles remaining. So I would say that for at least for Anaxa, he definitely does not need Hyacine. You can just run DHPT. In fact, DHPT gives Anaxa even a little bit more, even higher damage. So that's gonna be there for our Anaxa portion over here. Alright, now we're gonna jump on into our next team, and that is gonna be with Aglaea. Gonna be running the exact same thing that we're gonna be doing for the E1 Trippy versus Cyrene. So instead of running Hyacine, we're gonna be running DHPT instead of Hyacine, and then we're gonna be running the exact same E1 Trippy with S5 DDD, same Cyrene, same Aglaea. The build didn't change whatsoever. First things first, as you guys can see over here, my crib for Aglaea is not gonna be there. So if you're gonna be running this with Sunday and you take away Sunday, definitely give her enough credit. But for early access server, I'm not gonna bother that much. We're just gonna see the performance as it is, just to maintain, like, you know, fairness, right? Everybody's gonna be running the same exact gear, so everything else is gonna be the same. He's gonna hit us a little bit of AoE, cast our skill. Aglaea's stack generation is honestly pretty fast because she does have Garment Maker, so it's gonna be helping us quite a little bit over here. We do get a free action. Then once we cast this, should be able to get our DDD, which should push up a little bit higher. That's good. He's gonna hit, get a little bit more energy on Aglaea. That's always nice. Then he's gonna action very advanced, and he's gonna start charging. So after this, he's gonna summon the mobs. But for Aglaea, she actually doesn't really care about the mobs as much as Anaxa, because Anaxa loses a lot of damage from the bounce, whereas Aglaea, you can just always target the guy in the middle or the guy at the side, so it doesn't really matter that much. For Aglaea specifically, we can always spam skill with DHPT because this is a very skill point efficient team, so I wouldn't worry about it too much. See if we get our ultimate. Not quite enough. Hopefully we get hit over here. There we go. So we do get ourselves the ultimate. That's nice. Gets us the extra turn right before Garment Maker, so we can start stacking our stacks a little bit more efficiently. So we're gonna keep aiming here. Okay, Garment Maker keeps going. Cyrene is gonna be able to get an ultimate. So even with DHPT, you can see we are still able to get the full 24 stacks are required for the ultimate. So this is gonna be fine. I believe I'm just gonna out right now because now my units are within this wave. So we're just gonna see how much more damage we're gonna be able to deal with this. Just to squeeze out as many as possible, right? So we're gonna cast out immediately. Okay. So first ultimate, we're gonna be giving it to Tribi to increase the personal damage a little bit. And then second ultimate, we're gonna be giving it to Aglaea. So once Aglaea gets this ultimate, she's able to get the 6 out of 6 stacks. And I don't believe this is enough to push up into this wave. So what I'm gonna do is essentially cast off the ultimate immediately with Aglaea. So we get off the extra turn. Alright. Then after this extra turn, we can actually go forward with the rest of the stuff over here. Alright, so we can let go of a DHPT. That's a big ultimate. Then once Aglaea goes, Tribi can cast an ultimate here to refresh everything. Alright, so we can refresh everything. Okay, 519k, that's really, really nice. Then we're gonna cast our DDD, which pushes my Garment Maker, but not Aglaea. Right, so that's fine. So we're definitely not gonna be getting the 0 cycle for sure. So we're just gonna be trying to go for that 1 cycle dispatch. Okay, AoE, good amount of energy. That's fine, that's fine. The bugs are gonna start popping here. We're gonna start trying to targeting the horse. Okay, we're gonna try to target the horse here. Because when the bugs die, we do get a lot of AoE. Okay, this guy is gonna die in the middle here, so that's fine. Okay, 794,000 is absolutely exceptional. So we're definitely gonna be once again clearing in the first wave. So I want to try to slow down my damage so that I can squeeze in a little bit more value before we fight against Sam itself. Right, so Cyrene can just keep focusing on the horse because the horse is the one that receives a little bit less. Alright, so we're gonna keep focusing on the horse. That's good. Okay, it doesn't matter, we killed anyways. So that was already a definitive clear. So at this point, we're just gonna cast our DDD immediately. Okay, so for Aglaea, you kind of want to try to hold out on Cyrene's ultimate as long as you can until she eventually loses Supreme Stance. If she does not lose Supreme Stance, honestly, you can just give it to DHPT at this point. Because Tribi's buff is really permanent. The only other person that could gain a little bit more benefit is pretty much DHPT because you can allow your Soul Dragon to activate extra. Is exactly the same as Hyacine. Is the exact same as Hyacine. So that's what I will do over here. Aglaea can just keep continuing here. So I want to try to hold this itself. If you don't want to care for DHPT, you can always just let go of Cyrene's personal attack. I think in terms of raw damage, I'm actually just gonna be going for my personal attack for the Cyrene herself. Just to see if we can stall a little bit here. Okay. Okay, so I know for a fact that we're gonna be getting one more action from Supreme Stance, which means I don't need to give this ultimate to Aglaea anymore because even if we give it, we're definitely gonna be within range for our own ultimate, right? So once we cast this basic, it is gonna be close to the max. So the moment we get our action here, I will cast my Aglaea ultimate, so I have no wastage. So Cyrene at this point can kind of just go in. Is at 24 stacks, 25. So once we get to this point, you want to just let this go, because otherwise it's going to be getting a little bit more of access. So we'll just let go of our basic attack from our ultimate, which is 100k, is still 100k, so that's fine. Then we're going to let go of this ultimate herself, and then refresh our Supreme Stance, which pushes us all the way back down. Alright, so this is very, very good. Yeah, just back in. Dragon's gonna go. At this point, we just chill. Right? At this point, we just chill. Don't really need to worry about it too much. We can actually just keep casting our skill to refresh our ultimate a little bit faster. Tribi is gonna be basic attacking anyway, so that's fine. Okay. We can just go for this right now. See if we need to save this. Right, because we are 65 AV away. I think we are probably gonna be able to cast one of Cyrene's basic here. And one on Aglaea's herself, right? Okay, we're gonna cast DD because otherwise it's gonna be a little bit waste faster we get an energy. Alright, it's gonna hit us with AoE. 0 AV on Aglaea, that's good. Okay, then Garment Maker is gonna go. 24 stacks. Okay, at this point, because we are gonna be losing our action from our Supreme Stance here, we are gonna let go of one ultimate using our basic. And then the other one we're gonna save for when Aglaea eventually loses the stage. So at this point, we can just keep going on our basic, it's fine. DHPT, we can just go for this. Go for this. Then Tribi is gonna do the full-on attack. Goes for the basic. So Garment Maker is definitely gonna die here. Right, so Supreme Stance is lost. Aglaea loses speed. But at this point you can see it doesn't matter because the moment we summon this, we are gonna instantly reapply back in to 6 out of 6. Which is why I say Cyrene completely replaces the need for using Sunday, because you're never gonna leave the benefits from the. This is as if she did not even exit Garment Maker's Supreme Stance, right? So this is gonna be very nice. Then we go back in, try to get this ultimate back up, right? We do get our ultimate back up here. So even without Sunday, our ultimate basically had that half a turn worth of like downtime, which I think is like more than sufficient for us. It goes for this. Cyrene can actually go for the basic. Then we're gonna get off DDD for additional action value. Then I want to see where we're standing. We're at currently 22 out of 95. So I do believe we can let go of my Cyrene ultimate here. And then we can get back up to 12 seconds immediately so that we wouldn't be wasting our Garment Maker. Okay. DHPT is gonna go for the basic because I need to cast my skill on T. Okay, this is fine. And I think it's gonna be Witness Broken here. That's good. Gets us a recovery. Goes for this. Tribute casts the skill. Okay, Cyrene is gonna go for the basic attack here. Garment Maker is gonna go. Okay, you can see my Aglaea is gonna be having one more action, which is gonna be right before Supreme Stance ends. But honestly, I don't think Sam is gonna be surviving that long, so let's just go for our hits now. 9% HP. We're gonna stall a little bit just to see if we need this additional thingamabob over here. We have a lot of skill points, so it's not gonna be too big of an issue. Cyrene goes in. Okay, Garment Maker is gonna come out over here. So at this particular point, my Aglaea will take one more action at this point. So I'm not gonna be able to get my ultimate. So I'm just gonna be casting this immediately. And I will lose the Garment Maker, 5% HP. Okay. I do need to get my Triby's DDD. Because if my Triby don't get DDD, she's not gonna pull out my Aglaea. Which means Aglaea is not gonna be in action. But at this point, it doesn't really matter because bro is already at 1% HP. So you can see that even with Hyacine, I believe we still clear the same number of cycle as compared to the one with Hyacine. Alright, so we're just gonna end this off with a I think we can just end it off with Cyrene. Cinema. Okay, and there it is, right? So that is gonna be a 3-cycle dispatch running our Aglaea team. The exact same setup that I was using for my Hyacine team testing with the E1 Triby. So the exact same team. Like I mentioned, the crit rate is really, really bad, so definitely need to improve on that. The exact same Triby. DHPT is just whatever it's gonna be. I didn't change at all. The exact same Cyrene with E0 S0 on 200 speed, right? So you can see this exact same team. So I was using Aglaea, but instead of using Hyacine, instead of using DHPT, I was basically using Hyacine instead for this particular juncture. We are gonna be doing the exact same thing where we are gonna be actually getting our Cyrene ultimate quite early, right? A lot earlier compared to at least DHPT, getting us the wave 1 ultimate just like I did with DHPT because Aglaea does have the Mimo sprite. But you can see here, even though we do get our ultimate immediately running this exact setup, we are still not able to get the 0 cycle on the very first wave, right? So this is despite we are going to be running Cyrene with the additional ultimate to give us the additional value. So he's going to hit us and we're nowhere near getting the 0 cycle. You see the enemy team HP, it is like half HP for the horse and the ascendant. So we're definitely going to be using 1 cycle regardless, with or without Hyacine. So at this point, after this, we're just gonna keep jumping all the way towards the end. You can see that we are still clearing at roughly 1% HP of Sam, almost the exact same, if not actually a little bit slower. Right, this is technically a little bit slower compared to the one that I did with DHPT, because the DHPT actually had one more whole ass Cyrene ultimate and way before Aglaea even reached this pace, right before the cycle 4. So yes, Hyacine is gonna be a little bit slow with Aglaea, despite the fact that people say you must pull Hyacine for Cyrene in the first place. So that's that for Aglaea. So I would say that at this point, generally speaking, for both Aglaea as well as Anaxa, which are the attack scaling DPS crystals, they are not HP scaling. If they can make use of DHPT and they don't care about Hyacine, you can very, very easily slot in Cyrene with this team, even if you do not have Hyacine on your account. Right? You do not need to pull Hyacine just to make Cyrene work if you are going to be running attack scaling DPS. If you are going to be running HP scaling DPS like Castries and Maide, then Hyacine is going to be non-negotiable because those are HP scaling anyways, and DHPT wouldn't be functioning as well anyways, right? But we're just going to go into one last show, okay, and that is going to be Mr. Kazlana himself, which I actually did not do against him. So I already know that Phainon himself, he's not going to be doing well with Hyacine in the first place, and this is also the issue where a lot of people say, okay, you can't get an ultimate in the wave 1, whatever it's going to be, but we're just going to see how the clear is going to be against Sam, right? So this is my first time trying, without further ado, but I'm going to back. Okay. I don't remember if my Phainon was geared properly. I believe he should be. Right, 143, 85% crit rate. So like I mentioned, if you're not going to be running Sunday, you definitely want to bring up his crit rate a lot higher to close to the 100% mark. In any case, I'm not going to keep saying the same thing, so that's fine. For this particular setup with Phainon with DHPT, you basically want to let Cyrene's ultimate be the one giving Phainon his ultimate. So whether Phainon gets his ultimate is completely irrelevant. It doesn't matter. As long as Cyrene gets hers, that is more than sufficient, right? So for Savija, honestly, she can just do whatever she wants. It doesn't really matter because Phainon is just going to keep doing basic attack. Alright, Phainon will continuously do his basic attack. Alright, give us a little bit of skill points. Then we're going to be getting our stacks from Cyrene, right? So the final ultimate will be based on Cyrene herself. That's fine. DHPT honestly can just keep casting your skill. Cyrene can keep casting your skill as well. Alright. This getting 6 out of 6 is okay because my Phainon is not going to be using his skill, so it's not going to duplicate the wrong skill. Alright, so Phainon goes for the basic. Then Cyrene casts the skill. So we're definitely not getting an ultimate in wave 1, so no questions asked whatsoever. This is fine. We're just going to go into the second wave. Or rather the cycle, my bad. So at this point, I want to kind of stall a little bit longer. I don't really think it matters as much anymore because we are definitely going to be able to get ultimate on this Cyrene action. So we're just going to cast this. DHPT is just going to go here. This is just to make sure I have the speed buff up, so that's going to be good. Okay, so we're going to be at 24. I'm going to cast skill one time. Refresh this here. Cast the ultimate here just to get the maximum value. So Cyrene is going to be a little bit over. Alright. Then we're going to give the first buff to Savija and the second buff to Phainon. Right, so the first buff to Savija doesn't really matter the order. Alright, so we give the Savija, then we give to Phainon. Then afterwards, we're going to cast this, and cast this. Right, all this is going to be a little bit excessive because I've been hit out 6 for so long. But at this point, it really doesn't matter. Okay, just get a little bit more AoE. Deal with the mobs a little bit so that we can reduce the bounce damage. Okay. Now we're going to let go of Phainon. So Phainon is going to be permanently in this mode forever. I don't think we're going to be one-shotting this wave. So let's just see where it's going to be. 1 million first. And then we're going to get another hit. That's going to be 1.1. So this is going to pop off one of the bugs. Unfortunately, could not kill the second bug, which is going to be a little bit annoying. Because we do have 4 targets. Okay, never mind. The 4 targets just went away. You know what? At the end of the day, this is still good. Right? Basic over here, this thing pops, and then we can cast our 4 out of 4. So Phainon is not gonna be able to get a clear against this horse over here, unfortunately. So we're gonna be going. Okay, unfortunately, that actually took us 2 entire cycles against Sam himself. We kind of have to just. Okay, let me just keep pulling bro up so you can get into the combustion thing about first. Okay. Okay, so this gets into the combustion mode. And we are basically never gonna be losing our ultimate. Alright, so we go for the basic here. Then we can cast the duplicate skill. Yep, this is all good. Alright, cast our duplicate skill. That's duplicate skill 1. And then we're gonna be able to get a break over here. Okay. He breaks. This is gonna transform out. And then we're essentially gonna be getting 894k. We're permanently gonna be in this form, so it doesn't matter. So we keep slamming. Okay. Then we are going to be going for the basic. Honestly, pulling buff here doesn't really matter as much because I want the double skill. So this is going to be double skill value. So Sam is going to take a bit of a hit from the MOC. Then we activate our duplicate skill. 6 out of 6. There's 1. And then there's going to be 2. Very, very beefy. Last 14%. I kind of want to see if I can, because I only have 3 actions left. So because I only have 3 actions left, I want to see if I can get a 3 cycle clear with my last enhanced skill. So 2 plus 2 is 4. So we're just going to be going for the basic, as well as the basic over here, right? So this is it. My final skill, if I don't clear, then it's going to be a 4 cycle dispatch. If it clears, then it's going to be really good for us, right? So we get in our final skill. Alright, so, you know what? I'm not sure how you guys want to count that, but there would have been a 3 cycle left, a little bit of 1%. Might have missed a couple of crits here and there, but once again, just going to show, even without Hyacine, right? Even with DHPT, which technically, this is supposedly going to be less synergistic. We actually took 2 entire cycles for wave 1. It took really, really long, right? The ramp up time is very, very slow, right? That's completely valid. But the damage towards the end is still tapers off, where we are still clearing like almost the exact same number of clears with Aglaea as well as Anaxa in this current environment. So I do want to say that for Phainon, if you are going to be talking about vertical investment between these 3 teams, Phainon's E2 is definitely going to be the most exceptional. And I would say that DHPT over here, he didn't really offer us a lot of value because we weren't in any danger of dying anyways. So if you want to run a sustainless Phainon clear with this particular team, I think it's also 100% doable. So we're going to be running RMC instead over here. I think that's going to be fine. So just look at what you guys want, but I just want to clearly show what are going to be the situations for you guys if you do not pull Hyacine for Cyrene in this current setup. So in summary, after this entire test, no, Cyrene does not need Hyacine to work, but it really just does depend on your main DPS. If your main DPS is going to be an attack scaling DPS such as Aglaea, Anaxa, Phainon, if you really want to run Hyacine with Cyrene, DHPT is completely fine, right? DHPT, as I say, is completely fine with Cyrene. In fact, that is 4 out of the Crystal's hairs in the main DPS team comps, because the only 2 remaining is going to be Casterus as well as Mighty. Or if we're talking about main DPS M9, DH3 HP scaling DPS Crystal's hairs, they want to run Cyrene with Hyacine, not because Cyrene needs Hyacine, it's more like the entire team as a whole would perform much better with Hyacine. It's like you wouldn't run DHPT with Casterus or Mighty in the first place, right? You have already been running Hyacine for these teams at the start, so Cyrene being in the inclusion doesn't really change that. If you want to run Cyrene with attack scaling DPS, which is literally half the entire Emperor's roster, that is completely valid. So hopefully this video disproves the misconception that you must run Cyrene with Hyacine, because the clear is, you guys can just see it from there, right? So with that, we come to the end of today's content. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Wholly overworking. I still have a couple more in me before the lights are actually hits. Role of the day is gonna be here. Join to use our code for 10% off gamer subs and free shipping. All the best for country. See you guys next time. Take care.